pronounce windless. I had never had nor lived with a cat. My mom was allergic, my ex was allergic. So there was never a cat in my life. However, I knew cat people, which is what I mean when I say you gotta study people. So you can look at cat people, you can study memes on the internet for a while, and the videos, the most popular cat videos, and you can pretty much work out what cat people like. So when I wrote the cats, you know, it was like, okay, what are cat people gonna like? They're gonna like this, yeah. Now I have cats. Now I have, because I met Kitty and we've been dating for a while, and there was an accident at the vet and her cat passed away. And he was only like 3, it wasn't even fair. He was a sweetheart too, he would come snuggle me. So I said, okay, you know what? I kind of found this kitten. Do you think you'd like for this kitten to live at your house? And she's like, okay. And then she comes back a week later and she says, this kitten has a sister and they're bonded, and the family that she was going to be with fell through. She doesn't have a family anymore. I'm like, well, we'll get her. And then like 2 weeks later it was like, and there's this other kitten coming along. So I'm like, okay, 3's the limit. That's your crazy cat lady starter kit right there. 3. And she was like, okay, and then she went out and bought traps and started trapping the neighborhood cats, and like taking them to the vet and getting them fixed and shots and stuff like that, and finding homes for them and that sort of thing. She found 2 kittens. A mother cat had kittens under the porch, and only 2 of them survived the winter, and Kitty managed to trap them in the spring. And it was a little cat that looked like it had the Siamese coloring. You know, it had that kind of brown and on the face and around the eyes, and then the cream elsewhere, and then the brown on the tail. Gorgeous. And he socialized real well, and he's with a family being spoiled rotten every day now. His sister was a little tuxedo cat, and when she grew up, she only weighed 5 pounds. But she didn't socialize with anybody. She would kill people if she could and eat them. But she bonded with our cats, and so our female cat, we have a black female cat named Meryl, and she bonded with Meryl, and now Meryl has an apprentice, and she's a little tuxedo cat, so we named her Zatanna. But that's too formal, so she's just Zaza now all the time, you know. So Zaza actually has socialized pretty well now, and she'll come up and get petted once or twice a day. When she's hungry, she comes up and she just goes, meow, 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 like that, and just yells at you. You know, we know when it's getting close to dinner time because the council of cats assembles and stares at us. And the dog's getting used to it too now. The dog thinks he's a cat. He tries to lay down on the back of the couch. He tries to sit on the arm of the couch like a cat. He's a 75-pound pit bull. You know, he does. And he chases the red dot with the cats. They all go after the red dot. It's a mess. But I never had cats until then. But now I have Raoul. Raoul is Kitty's favorite cat. He's that 3rd one. And the other 2 cats were about 6 months older than he was, and so they beat him up a lot when he was little, so he would jump up in Kitty's lap, so that's just where he lives now. You know, he just lives in Kitty's lap. He's a jerk, but he adores Kitty, and he knows that as long as she loves him, he's got his meal ticket locked. So, you know, every night he's all over her, just being a snuggly baby. He's adorable. And so that's Raoul, and he's a big ginger Maine Coon, weighs about 30 pounds. And then Muriel's brother is Bowie, and he's gonna be in the next book, because as long as they're characters in a book, I can write them off. Big nerd brain. As long as I keep telling that story about LARPs, I can write LARPs off. But yeah, and then we've got and then Muriel is the black cat, and she only weighs about 15 pounds. She's as long as the boys, but she's all elegant and leapy, you know, and long hair. And I built them in her. I live in a log house, and I built them catwalks that go all the way up around the main great room and up on top of the fireplace, and then they leap up into windows that we did not anticipate they would get up into, and we wonder how they got there. They just look at us like, cat. So now I'm a cat person as well. I mean, I'll always be a dog guy, but Bowie is pretty cool, and Bowie hangs out with me. You know, whenever I'm writing, Bowie sleeps on the back of the couch right here, and Bruce sleeps down between my feet. So, which was actually why I'm starting to get writing done. Apparently what I needed was a dog. My dog died in 2014, and the dog I had for like most of the Dresden Files, my Bichon Frost, the one who fought a bear. Well, he didn't fight a bear, but he beat it. He saved my kid from a bear, that's for sure. And not having the dog was just incredibly destructive. I hardly got anything done. I didn't even really notice that I wasn't getting anything done. I would just sit down to write, and it just didn't work. Instead of doing 2,500 words in a writing session, I did 250. And be like, what the hell is going on here? And for the longest time, and then I got a dog, and immediately my word count went up. It went up by a factor of 5, and now it's up by a factor of 10. Now I'm writing 4,000 words in a sitting. So yeah, we're doing well. Skin Game, I wrote most of Skin Game in the past year, or not Skin Game, but Peace Talks in the past year, and it's the longest novel I've ever written. It's like 225, 250, something like that.
211 at the moment.
211 at the moment. Thank you, Priscilla. Priscilla knows this. I don't. But anyway, so there's me and cats. So up here. Oh, all right. Yes, young man.
He wants to know what Harry's dream job would be if he wasn't a detective.
If Harry what?
Harry's dream job would be if he wasn't a detective.
Would be to be a detective?
If he wasn't a detective.
Oh, what he would be if he wasn't a detective? Oh my gosh. I don't know, he'd probably be working at a gas station somewhere. Well, honestly, if he wasn't doing wizard stuff, he doesn't have much of an education. He's got his GED, but he hasn't been through a lot of school. There would be a lot of jobs open to him. Not that he would get along with any of those jobs, or probably college. Oh my God, Dresden at university. I might need to write that, actually.
I would like to read that.
Yeah. Do the 21 Jump Street episode where he goes to college. Actually, no. He could do that and actually make himself look younger, and then be dealing with younger things that he'd forgotten all about. That would actually be kind of fun. I got acne again? What? That kind of thing. But yeah, he would have trouble. I suppose his next favorite job might be working with like the Forest Service or something like that, where he's out in the wilderness a lot. That would be cool. But you got to have an education to do that, though. They require that. If you're going to be out running around the woods, they make you learn all about it. So, all right, what else have we got? Right here.
Do you have a favorite beer? And also, are there beers that Max beers, like real life beers that Max beers are based on?
I don't drink beer. In fact, I never drank alcohol except whatever was in cough syrup until I met Kitty. She's a bit of a corrupting influence. I don't drink beer. I don't really do the gluten thing very successfully. I process gluten to rage. I don't know. I don't know why. I accidentally got some yesterday and was like on this panel, just seething furious at some answer that somebody gave, so another panelist gave, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? You better start making jokes right now. You're acting like a jerk. So then I started joking around, and that made it better. But I avoid gluten, so I avoid beer. But my favorite alcoholic beer-like drink is a cider from Sweden called Rekorderlig. They do a pear-based cider that is amazing. It's essentially like a really, really good draft soda that you might have gotten like in the 70s before they started putting so much sugar in everything. Except it's also alcoholic, but you can't taste it after the first sip. So that stuff's evil. Because you pick it up and it's like, this is a delicious soda. Where's the next one? I'll have that one too, and another. What? Like that. Sort of that situation. So I'm not really a beer guy. But if I ever start writing about elven wine, it'll be Swedish cider. So, over here. Over here, with the blue and red shirt.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll do you and then you. How about we'll do that?
Getting back to your craft, how many hours a day do you typically write?
How many hours a day do I typically write? On a writing day, I start writing at about 9:15, 9:30, and write until my kid gets there my kid is serving as my personal trainer right now because he can say things to me no personal trainer possibly can. Dad, if you want to get rid of that gut, we're going to have to do some sit-ups. You know, stuff like that. You know, personal trainers won't say that sort of thing to you. They'll be very tactful. Jay is not, which I need. But he shows up about 1. And so in that time, I'll do about 4,000 words, and I do that 5 days a week. Except when there's days where I've got to do other stuff. Some days I've got to do interviews. Some days I've got to write articles. Some days I've got to, whatever it is that I've got to do. I've got to sit here signing my name, for hours today. Which is at the same time, it's like a painful and annoying problem, because when your right hand doesn't work too well, it sort of affects the whole rest of your life. On the other hand, that's a really good problem. I mean, if that's your problem, too many people got you signing your name, it's like, wow, that's a great problem to have. I'll take it. But it is something that you got to be aware of. Sanderson's the smart one. He's the one that doesn't sign his name. He's got like a chop that he signed to be minimally destructive to his wrist and forearm. That's so smart. I wish I'd done that. That's brilliant. Oh my gosh.
I wish someone had designed a stamp for you.
You did design a stamp for me, but that's not personal, is it? What I need to do is just like prick my finger and do a thumbprint in blood. Now we're connected. Sure.
She stole my question, but I had another one. How many gaming groups are you in, and how often do you play?
How many what?
Gaming groups.
How many gaming groups are in, and how often do we play? The main one I'm in is the campaign I'm running at my house. That's me and Kitty and Jay and his girlfriend and our assistant and her husband and a couple of friends of ours. And I'm running we play bi-weekly or bi-monthly on Tuesday night, and we get, right now we're playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, but I'm running the Birthright campaign setting from 2nd edition, which is an amazing campaign setting, and so we have all kinds of fun doing that. I also LARP. The LARPs I've been going to usually maybe 4 or 5 times a year has been what I've been able to do. Occasionally a little more often because I'll LARP with my friends back in Missouri, and then I also go out to Alliance every once in a while out here and play in their LARP. Which has also been a lot of fun, but it was also I had to start over, from background playing from ground one, playing a first level character. Now, admittedly, I knew the game system, so I knew how to play the cheesiest, most overpowered first level character possible. But at the same time, you can't do that and be a guy who hits people with a sword. And if I'm going to LARP, I want to smack people with plumbing supplies. That's what I want to do while I'm out there. I can do role play and stuff like that at home. I can do cosplay at conventions. And Lord knows there's enough of those. But if you want to go sword fight people, you got in the woods at night. You got to be in a LARP, and that's what I want to do. But over here, hey Julie.
So Dresden Files is a 20-book series planned out, correct?
It's a 20 or 21 of the case books like we've had so far.
Right.
It might be 21 because some things have expanded a little. And then I'm going to write a big 3-book apocalyptic trilogy at the end.
Okay, so how, and that's been planned from the beginning, right?
Yes, from before.
How
I wrote
did
the
you
first
do
book.
that?
I was dumb. Here's the story. I had been taking classes from Debbie Chester for a long time, and I had been ignoring everything she had to say because what did she know? I had a bachelor's degree in English literature with an emphasis in creative writing, whereas she had merely published 40 novels. So what did she know? And so I've been ignoring her advice for a good long while. And when I finally did start listening to her, I decided, and the way that happened was, I decided that I was going to show her one semester, and because I was 25 and thought I was really smart, I thought, okay, this is how I'm going to show her. I'm going to do exactly what she tells me to do. I'm going to fill out all her little forms, I'm going to do all her little worksheets, I'm going to do her stupid outlines, and I'm going to show her what kind of cookie-cutter pablum crap emerges from that kind of rigid process. And so I wrote the first book of the Dresden Files. which showed her. But she got done reading the first chapter of Stormfront, and she gets done with it, and she sits it down on her desk. And now, bear in mind that this is a woman who did not pull her punches. She did not believe in preparing her kids for anything less than the actual world of publishing. So, if she didn't like it, she'd go, "Nah, not good enough. Send it back to me." She would tell you why it was not good enough, which is better than most editors do. But she would treat you like an editor. And I mean, up to and including things like rolling up a chapter, leaning across the desk, popping me on the head with it and saying, "What were you thinking?" She did that to me. She was that kind of teacher. But she got done with the first chapter of Stormfront, and she read it, she puts the last page down, she squares the pages, looks back to me and says, "You did it." I said, "What?" Because she did not offer praise. I mean, it was not "that's awesome" or "that's great." It was, "These are the problems, go fix them." And she read it, she says, "You did it." I said, "What?" She says, "This will sell. I don't know if this will be the first thing you sell, but this is of professional quality. This is a good thing that you need to keep working on." And I'm like, "Okay," like that. And she says, "All right, now when you come back next week, I want an outline for the rest of it." I said, "Okay!" And she meant the rest of the book. So I walk back in the next week with, an outline for 20 novels and a 3-book trilogy at the end, with a summary for each of the plots in all of them, and I can still see in my mind's eye the expression on her face, which was, this is what her face said: "This kid, oh my God! But I finally got him on board. I can't send him off screaming now." So she looks at him like, "What do you think?" And she looks back at me and says, "I think if you should sell a 20-book series, you should be doing fine." She wasn't going to tell me there's no way you're going to sell a 20-book series to an editor. And so she didn't tell me it was impossible. So I did it. Not all at once. First they bought 3 books. They read Stormfront and they liked it so much. Well, I don't know if they liked it so much, but they said to themselves, "I'm not going to have to edit this very much. And he's the new guy, he's not going to take up much time. All right, we'll give him a shot. We'll give him 3 books, he can take up 3 new guy slots if he's that unannoying, like that." And so I wrote the first 3 books, and they kind of started going places. So, do you want a couple more? Yeah, we want a couple more. And after that, and it was at that point, I think right after Summer Night came out, was the first time I knew I was actually an author, because I went to a panel. And you got to understand, normally when I went to my panels and readings, there wasn't anybody there. I'd go to my reading and nobody would show. That's soul crushing, man. But it happens. And even after you make it, there's a whole nother round of hurdles you have to go through. But that was basically how it happened. I didn't know what I thought she meant something else, and I ran with it. I do a lot of failing forward. I really do. It's like, okay, well, I'm falling. I guess I might as well try and learn to fly, and sometimes it works. So, well, what else have we got? Right here.
What was your inspiration for Bob the Skull?
That was also dumb. I got done with that first chapter, and we had this very exciting conversation afterwards. And she was like, "Well, what's in the next chapter?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna. He's gonna have to, he's gonna have to go and consult. He's got like this super nerd that he consults but that'll be like this spirit that he has, and that he can go to, because sometimes she had taught me the concept of the joy of idiocy, and that's the writing idea that you always keep a dummy around in the story to ask questions, so that you can give information to the reader without making the reader feel like the dummy. You've got a sacrificial dummy to make the reader feel like that. Yeah. So the reader doesn't, because the reader doesn't have any way to know things, but if they don't know, they still feel kind of dumb, and it turns them off. So you got to find a good way to get information to the reader so that it goes in smooth, and they go, I understand what's happening in this story. So you keep an idiot around for that. And sometimes Harry is the idiot in the stories, and sometimes it's Murphy. Murphy's the idiot a lot of times, because Harry has to explain magical things to the non-magical. And that's all of us. Wait, what was the question again? Where'd Bob come from? So I'm like, he's got like this consultant that he goes to when he needs more stuff that regular people just couldn't handle. And she's like, all right, that sounds good, just so long as you don't make him a talking head. Talking head, of course, being a reference to another writing reference to a craft writing phrase, where you've got a character who their only function in the story is to show up, dispense information, and leave. You can see there are talking heads all through the bad science fiction movies in the 50s. As you know, Bob, an ant is 20 times strong and lift 20 times its own body weight. And these ants, and it's like, but yeah, but if Bob already knows about ants, why are you telling it to him, talking head guy? That's what makes him a talking head. That's bad crafting. So I showed up the next week with a literal talking head in the next chapter, and she just kind of reads it and looks up at me and says, "You think you're funny, don't you?" But yeah, so that's where Bob came from. And then his name and then the voice that he has in my head comes from an NPC that I had in a Warhammer game in college. One of the NPCs, we were playing Warhammer, and one of the players, they were a noble, and so their one of their special abilities was, D6 hangers on, and so you roll, and that's how many just useless people follow you around because you're rich, and they rolled a 1, and they're like, I wanted more than that. It's like, well, I'll give you an elf who's your useless hanger on. So it was, and then the character class that the hanger on rolled was servant. So he was an elf, Bob the elf. He was an elf, but he'd been hit in the head too many times. He really wasn't well adjusted to elven society, so he's following a human noble around. Bob the elf, slayer of goblins. He was useless, but completely bold and convinced that he could destroy anything in his path. And so half the game was the party just trying to keep him from dying. But yeah, so Bob the elf, that's the voice in my head, it's Bob. That's how he talks. But that's where he came from. Back here. Yeah, the black hat.
So, is there going to be another Dresden Files series or movies?
Oh, you mean on the TV show? Yeah. Yeah, we're doing more TV. We're in development now. The writer that we're working with said, "Hey, I can't possibly do this until I've read all the books," and I dropped my drink right there in the boardroom. But yeah, we're working with Temple Hill. They're the guys who, I don't know if did you see the recent Power Rangers movie, the one that was way better than it had any right to actually be? Right? Yeah, they did that. And then we're going through Fox 21, and I think they're hoping to find something somewhere online. I want it to be an online series and be bingeable, because it's better story. You do better stories that way. I mean, you really can. So, but yeah, everybody is looking to try and fill the Game of Thrones vacuum. So that's what everybody right now is hoping to do. We're also, it's not a done deal yet, but there might be an Alara thing happening. An animation thing. Yeah, I don't want to share any details or mess up the deal. So, but I can't say any more than that right now. What else have we got? Over here, ma'am, with the young human. Hello, tiny human. Man, I love coming to Utah. There's so many kids and dogs here. I love that.
So you have your bachelor's in English. What about those writers who have something else? Can they still write?
I think that my degree in English only set my career back about 3 years. I'm not kidding. I'm really not. That's how long I spent fighting my teacher who was trying to teach me because I thought I knew things about writing. If you want to write for an actual audience, for people who will pay you money for the writing, maybe the folks who are holding up Proust as an example are perhaps not the best folks to study with for purposes of commercial marketing. For writing something that is going to be sellable. I actually had my son went to college and went to get an English degree. I offered to teach him if he wanted me to teach him. And he was like, "Nah, Dad, I think I'll let the professionals handle that." I'm his dad, man. Your dad is never cool. That's all there is to it. He can be awesome, but never really cool. And so the kid, he went off to KU's writing program, which they have a good writing program there, they say. And then 3.5 years later, he comes back to me and he says, "Dad, I've got an issue." And I said, "What's your issue?" He says, "Well, I've been watching my writing teachers for a while, and then I look at you. If they could do what you do, they would be doing what you do. They are miserable. You know? I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, huh. Well, do you still want me to teach you? He's like, yeah, I figure you might know more about how to write a book people will actually pay for than them. And I say, well, not entirely unfounded based on the empirical evidence. Okay, let's go. So I started teaching him. About 6 years ago. He's just finished his 5th novel. I think with a lot of work, it might be sellable. But I reckon his 6th one will be his one where he actually gets to sell it to somebody. We'll see. But yeah, he's better than me at a lot of things. He's just naturally better. He's naturally funnier on paper than I am. He's naturally better at dialogue than I am. You know, I haven't had to coach him at all on that stuff. So it's like, wow. He's like, okay, now I do have to make it make sense. But you know, here, these are your strengths. Work with them. So he's got great ideas too. His book is full of stuff I want to steal. And don't get me wrong, I'll steal from anyone, but not my boy. You know that can't happen. You know? So he's going to have some awesome stuff coming out before too long, and hopefully people will spend less time asking me when I'm going to have my next thing done. But yeah, actually, I think honestly, I think you're better off. You're better off as an engineer when you write. I think you're better off as your education. You're better off as a lawyer if you're writing. My goodness, yeah. There's all kinds of things you can bring in from everywhere. Look at Kathy Reichs. You know, I mean, she cuts up dead bodies, and who knew that would be perfect for writing? You know, but yeah, don't let. I mean, education is important for you. It's not important for your skill as a writer. It's important for you as a human being. Definitely get it, but don't expect it to. You know, unless you go to somebody like Sanderson, don't expect it to teach you very much about the actual business. Guys like Sanderson, if your teacher is an actual professional, they probably know what they're talking about. I mean, go and see if they have books in the store. Yeah, they probably know what they're talking about. But what's next? Yeah.
Hello. I wanted to ask, when you were writing the characters, did you have any, like, did you visualize anybody that you personally or wanted to emulate with those characters? Like when you're writing, you know.
Are you trying to play a casting game with me right now?
He's on me, quick, whoa.
Okay. Yeah.
And why is that James
in my head, Harry Dresden is somewhere between Fox Mulder and young Harrison Ford. You know, that's who he looks like. If you go read Welcome to the Jungle, that was the first graphic novel we did. That was the one where I actually worked with the artist before they snatched him away to draw Batman. But when I was actually working with the artist, I would be like, okay, here's this character, here's that character. That's the one with the truest representations of the characters as I see them in my head. There's still some good stuff going on in the comics, but I don't pay as much attention to the aesthetic of, no, make him look exactly like this. You know, I don't do that with artists anymore. It turns out artists like to be creative too. And so when you're working with other creative people, you kind of have to let them do that, or else they get upset. You know, so. You know, I found out all kinds of things working on comic books. Jim, you can't have the characters say this much to each other. Why not? Because if you do, there won't be room for any pictures. And then it's a book and not a comic book. And oh yeah, I guess that's true, isn't it? So, but yeah, I mean that's what is in my head. Murphy is Gabrielle from Xena, more or less. Let me think who the others were. They change. It changes over time. I mean, for a while, Will Smith was Harry Dresden. No, well, seriously, Will Smith can lip off to absolutely anybody and make it believable. And it's like, key. And he suffers well. Ooh, yeah, okay. Makes him a fine Dresden, you know. But that's about it. I mean, it keeps changing with new people. And as far as for the show, who knows? Marsters is probably a little old to play Dresden at this point. I think Marsters would make a fine Marcone, though. Well, he's just so good at villainy, and he could just be so droll, you know. He's pretty perfect for that. So, and also since it'd be on a TV show, he'd get a lot more. I mean, the other characters would get a lot more airtime, because if you try to make, you know, if you try and do a full season of something for around one person, that person is just like, they have no life. or sleep for the duration of that, of that filming. So it'd be better. It's going to be better to spread the story out a little more. Be able to tell a little bit more of Morgan's story, for example. Oh, I want to get Clancy Brown for Morgan. I hope it happens. Get the Kurgan to play Morgan. That's who he was based on. I mean, geez, Morgan was the Kurgan in my head, just better dressed and with an establishment. So. What else we got?
Do you mind repeating your son's name so we can watch out for his career?
Yeah, you'll be able to find him as James Butcher. He'll just be on the shelf next to me at some point. All right, we got a 10-minute warning here, so. Yes, sir, right here.
When we were reading the Aeronauts Windless, I was wondering about the Etherealists. That's how you pronounce it?
Etherealists, yes.
Do they make a choice at some point when they're starting out or training, like, okay, if you go this way, you kind of will lose touch with reality a little bit, but you'll still be you. And you don't have to lose touch with reality, but you might kind of lose your humanity. Is there any kind of...
The question with the Etherealists, do they ever have a choice about, do they kind of get a little squirrely but still remain more or less a reasonable human being, or do they just lose their humanity completely and keep their rationality? And the answer is it's random. The stuff that happens to them, it happens at random. If you're an Etherealist, you are going to have problems. You're going to have mental problems. That's how it works. And the issue is, A, what do you do about it when you have them? Because it's the real world. When you have mental problems, you still have responsibilities. You still have things you've got to do, except for the very worst cases. But how do you face it? How do you deal with it? How do you take it in stride? I deal with depression myself. Depression, anxiety, and for a long time I didn't know how to handle it well, and I'm finally starting to learn. Part of that is writing the Etherealists and the Aeronauts Windless. I mean, my gosh, this is all just my personal therapy, and you guys are paying me for it. But the poor Etherealists. And then the longer they go and the more they use their power, the more and more it happens. So the less you use your stuff as an Etherealist, kind of the more stable you are. But then some people are just a big hole goes out and then they wind up like Cavendish. Or they're nearly dysfunctional and they can't really interact with the world very well without help, like Master Ferris. So yeah, I mean they have a hard time, but at the same time they can do things no one else can do, see things no one else can see, which is it's something I've always enjoyed. I've always thought that madness is just the leftover fairy blood that's still in the human condition. And those people, a lot of those people, yeah, they're a little bit crazy. I'm a little bit crazy. I got blue hair, but I can do things that other people can't do. I can write those wizard stories. I can write the heck out of those. So I try to look at it like that. But anyway, we'll see how the Etherealists do. But yeah, I really enjoy writing the hell out of folly. Although I swear every character that I wrote in the Aeronauts Windless is just okay. Who's going to want to cosplay what? All right, I'm going to write this character to be cosplayer. Bam, like that. I wrote Grimm so that I would have somebody that I could cosplay. Medium height, dark hair, beard, middle-aged, stocky. Go. It's like good. Now I've got somebody I can cosplay too. And I even used I even picked the shops at the conventions that sell the props that I wanted to have on my characters. And then it was just a creative game of figuring out why they have to exist in this world, why they're necessary. Because things exist in the world because they're necessary. You need them. You need goggles for a reason in Cinder Spires. There's no reason. Aeronauts wear goggles. You have to, or you lose your mind. So. Yes, back here.
Is there a sequel to Aeronauts Windless? I came in late.
Oh, is there a sequel to Aeronauts Windless? Yes, I'll start working on it in the next couple of weeks. I'll finish it up by the end of the year. Possibly sooner at the speed I'm writing. I don't know. We'll see. It depends on how much editing I have to do. The next book, I'm going to start trying to write my books shorter so they can come out more often. Which means there probably won't be as many characters, and I'll have to figure out how to make my plot lines a little more elegant. But right now I feel like I'm at the point where really what I'm doing is sitting down and smashing my action figures together a lot. And I want to do a little bit better than that. You know, I want to do a stop motion animation at this point. You know, I got to advance. That's the other thing. If you want to write like I do, always try and write the book that is a little bit beyond what you think your skills are capable of handling. It will drive you insane, but it also forces you to grow as a writer because you know you've got to have this book done. So, all right, over here. Somebody asked how do you do research without keeping the cops away, and that was you. And I said, I don't know how to answer that question because I've had them come to my door. I've had them approach me at events. If you're a writer, you're going to be looking up weird things. But in my experience, you tell the cops, I'm a writer, they go, oh. Like that. Oh, you're harmless. You know, seriously, you become a writer, you're so busy like researching stuff and going to, you know, chasing various rabbit holes, you haven't got time to go out and hurt anybody. You know, so no time, no energy, sorry, still writing. But yeah, I mean, go out and look up stuff. I mean, the internet's a great place to learn things. They're really hysterically trying to clean it up now. So I think anything you find on sites like YouTube will probably not get you in trouble. You know, when they look at your search history and it says genetically engineered virus, and then below that, you know, disaster response plans. You know? Then they go, But they come to your door and you got, blue hair and you don't exactly belong to Al-Qaeda, do you? But, yes? Do I still read for fun, and what's a good book I've read recently? Yes, of course I still read for fun. But you kind of, as you start developing your standards of what is fun change. So when you find, because essentially what it is when you sit down and start writing and you start reading and you're a writer, your work brain immediately starts breaking things down and analyzing them, you know? And so when you find a writer that you can just enjoy the story, it's this incredible feeling. It's even better than regular reading, you know? So you know the books that I read right now I'm rereading the Honor Harrington series by Mr. Weber. Let's see, I read Correa. His books are such testosterone-laden fun. I love it. Let me think. Naomi Novik writes some really good novels. Lois Bujold is probably the finest science fiction writer alive right now. Probably, she's really in the genre. She's the finest writer in the entire genre right now, in my opinion, in terms of her skills and the way she does her characters and her story. Lois is a magician. She's amazing. Pratchett, naturally. I was rereading Aeronauts last week because I got to get ready to write the sequel to that one. That'll be called The Olympian Affair. We're off to Spire Olympia, and you know they're going to have a meeting to try and broker peace, and I don't think it'll go very well. It certainly didn't for Dresden. Oh my goodness. But yeah, but that'll be fun. We're doing a theatrical trailer for Dresden. So we're doing a Marvel Universe style trailer for the next Dresden book. So that'll be fun. Priscilla's handling that. So she's also going to be working on the show as well. So because I wanted somebody there who I absolutely knew would be on my side and who knew the books. She knows them better than I do. I'm not kidding. And who knew the books and who I would know would be struggling to do the very best to tell the kind of story that I want to tell. And so you know, so when I went to them, I'm like, well, here's the deal. You know, if you want me, you're gonna have to have somebody else along. And they're like, yeah, okay, we can work with that because you know Priscilla actually knows what she's doing. So that's. I think we've got time for about one more, and then I got to wrap it up and go. So, does somebody hasn't asked one yet? Yes.
In the Codex books, you describe a Roman legion formation, and I looked it up, and all it said was a Roman legion formation, but didn't say what the formation was.
Which formation?
It was an unusual word.
Testudo?
I don't remember.
It was probably testudo. Yeah, that's the big one the Romans are famous for. That's the one where the legionnaires would be marching along, and they'd come under a missile fire, and they'd go form testudo, and then the guys in front would block their shields like that. The guys in back, their shields up on the side. Everybody crouches down, and the guys in the middle lift their shields up as a roof, and then they marched forward, and it made them impervious to arrows. You would have to have like slingers and stuff like that go after them. Even them, they weren't very successful.
Thank you.
Yeah, very welcome. Guys, thank you very much for your time this morning. And I'm doing a signing at the Medali booth at 3:15. If you didn't get to my signing yesterday and you've got some books or something, you might go talk to Janelle, and I'll go talk to her and tell her that if we want to have a few more people in, we can do that. Because I know there were some folks who didn't get here yesterday for the signing. So, all right, thanks a lot, guys.